Thanks for staying with us. So we'll be taking the newspaper reviews and I'll be reading from here. We do not have physical papers today, so bear with me. Let's start with The Nation. Ensure credible polls, Buhari tells police. Reps panel accuse oil firms of tax evasion. Committee gives deadline. Abiodun to FRSC. Trace end gridlock on Long Bridge. INEC, 22,538 new PVCs yet to be collected in Lagos. No decision yet on who to vote president, says Wiki. Tinubu, Adebanjo under fire over Southwest stand. How Lekki Port will boost economy by Sanwo-Olu. Federal government dismisses US-UK terror alert on Abuja. Okay, what stories do we have here?
Okay, so I have the federal government dismisses the US-UK terror alert. So yesterday after the Security Council meeting, the NSA, the National Security Advisor, Abagada Monguno, and the Chief of Defense Staff, Lucky Irabo, both addressed press after the Security Council meeting, and they said that, the US alert, in fact, the NSA said the US alert is false, and that the citizens of Nigeria are not at any danger, they are not in any peril, and that the US, even though they had gone on to issue and, try to evacuate their citizens, they gave an order that non-embassy staff should, citizens of theirs should quickly leave the country, that there's no reason for alarm. Other countries, European countries, also followed the US advisory and evacuated some of their citizens. But they are insisting that it is wrong of any country to put us in such a panic mode.
Yeah.
But as it is now, as Nigerians now, whether or not you want to trust your country or not, the people who are in charge of your security architecture are the ones saying this. I think we should just calm down. Whatever is coming, we meet all of us here. If anything is coming, that's it. Honestly, if at all anything is coming, there's really no need to shake and panic. Some people have cited the Kuje prisons attack, and they gave instances of how many that they have averted. There was an attack at an army barracks in Niger State that was averted, and several other attempted attacks like that across the country that have been averted. And they said these are things that they are on top of. They are doing their best, and Nigeria is not in any danger. That should make all of us be jumping up and down. But, the United States are free to do what they did, but we should calm down. And now the person where it's like the person that will bathe the dead body. That's the situation on ground now. They are the ones
so we should just trust them that they are doing something
so
about
everything
this.
will be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. So our president is talking to the police and saying that as regards the upcoming elections, that the police needs to be neutral, and that this is because he's very committed to. He says one of the legacies he would like to leave is a free and fair elections and free and fair power that's been given from one administration to the next. And he said that in furtherance to making sure that the police does its job well, he has assented to the Nigerian Police Trust Fund bill, and he also approved a new salary and welfare regime that is commensurate to the dictates of critical policing. He also noted that the release of funds for annual recruitments of 10,000 police constables in order to address the wide manpower in that particular sector. So he's saying that because he believes solely that democracy, if it's not done in a free and fair way, it would affect all the policies, positive policies and development that will happen in the country. And that's why it's important that the police is on it. He also referred to his speech at the just concluded UNGA, United Nations General Assembly, and what he said about democracy. And so he's charging the police to be neutral and make sure and enforce and ensure that there's free and fair elections coming up.
We hope for free and fair elections. Let's move on quickly now to The Punch. Federal government exceeds loan target by 1.12 trillion, borrows 5.3 trillion. Naira devaluation it will worsen Nigeria's food energy crisis, according to the World Bank. IOCs polluting Nigeria must face sanctions, federal government. Sanwo-Olu, Lagos, Kan, Anglican Diocese mourn Bishop Olumakaye. Terror alert. Federal government reassures Nigerians, pushes back against US and UK. Foreign minister to warn ambassadors against alarming advisories. Terror alert irresponsible, go about normal business, security chiefs. Transcorp Hotel sets new security protocol. Federal Capital Territory Police meet hotel operators. Commuters stranded as Lagos commercial drivers protest extortion. Marketers protest 1.85 litre fuel and threaten strike. Lagos-Ibadan highway kidnappers killed captives over ransom, collected 3.2 million from my father, lady. 2023 elections, don't be partisan, Buhari counsels police. What stories do we have in the Punch? Let me quickly find.
Okay, so as we're aware, commercial drivers went on a one-week strike. And these commercial drivers operate under the aegis of Joint Drivers Welfare Association in Lagos. And the reason they went on the strike was because they were protesting the numerous fees that's been imposed on them and their members by the Lagos State Parks and Garages Committee. And so the effect of the strike so far, a lot of people say that commuters were seen walking, trekking, because there were no buses that they could board. And the few that were available took advantage of the fact that the other buses were on strike, hiked up the fares, and people who were desperate to, get to their appointments, get to work, were paid those amounts. There's some that could not pay the amount, decided to walk. Others had to reschedule maybe appointments that they had. People, the report says that they talk to various people. A lot of people say that they understand that it's their right to demand for, that even they understand how unfair it is, this constant taxing of these bus drivers. And it's important for them to stand for their right, but also that they should be put into consideration because they cannot get anywhere because of the strike. I think Nima took the story yesterday and says that we hope that the state government will sort of look into this before it becomes
We're going to be discussing
serious
that
issue
later on. Yes, so one of the released victims of the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway abduction, Aminat Taiwo, narrated how her father paid 3.2 million to her kidnappers before she was released alongside her friend, Toby Orikoya. So I think they were headed for a wedding when this kidnap happened. It happened last Friday near the Sadhguru Maharaji Garden at the Ibadan end of the expressway. And they were kidnapped. They said they went through, I think they were there for just about 2 days because the parents had to keep asking people to contribute money. So everybody was contributing 100 naira, 200 naira, 1,000 naira till they were able to gather about 800,000 because the kidnappers reached out to the parents and were demanding from 10 to 50 million. So they collected the money. They were asked not to come in, report to the police or come in the crowd. So it was just the father who took the money for a young girl and her friend that were kidnapped to a place just before the toll gate, and then they collected the money. They said they were not allowed to stay in one point for a long time. They kept moving them. They didn't give them food. There was no water. They were getting water off the leaves of the trees, and just narrated how that experience was painful.
So,
go ahead.
Experts are warning the federal government on their borrowing. So according to this Punch report, there was a budget to borrow about 4.7 trillion naira to take care of the deficit in the budget in the 2022 budget, but the federal government exceeded that by 1.15 trillion, and they ended up borrowing about 5.1 trillion at the end of between January and August 2022, and this of course is making people around worry, that our debt profile continue to rise, we continue to exceed. There must be plans to generate the revenue one way or the other. My suggestion is that we've been unable to earn dollars because the crude is being exchanged for, for products, and we're still paying subsidy. We're even borrowing to pay the subsidy. We don't have any foreign exchange that we're earning to, to be able to deal with cost of foreign consumptions like the air flights and all of that here. Whatever we need to do, that's that area that, they should have a think tank on top immediately to see how they can motivate small businesses to start to export finished products, maybe complex products. So instead of exporting just raw materials that we usually would do, which will give us
manufacture here.
Yes, we should hold on to our
refine
cocoa
here
and refine and sell out Nigerian chocolate. Let it be known. And
that we have Nigerian chocolate. They have Ghana chocolate.
And our palm oil that we were known for, if we can revive that, they can be deliberate about it. Give that. And, small like that. Do all of those things and see how foreign exchange will come in. We need that desperately right now.
All right, let's take a short break. When we come back, the newspaper reviews continue. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. Still on the newspaper review, we are reviewing the Daily Sun. Stay of execution. Nnamdi Kanu heads to Supreme Court. Abuja terrorism alert. Federal government confirms suspects arrested. Says security concerns raised by the US and UK being addressed. Urges Nigerians to go about businesses without fear. Herdsmen list conditions for peace in communities. Demand gazetting of 415 grazing reserves. Obidison's manifesto in circulation says is not approved. Buhari jets out for 2-week medical check in London. My salary stopped for exposing corruption at Finance Ministry, claims female staff. Letter of credit saga. Yerima seeks federal government support for air peace. Ex-UIDVC recounts close shave with death in kidnappers' den. Buhari warns police against unprofessional conduct during elections. What stories do we have here?
The major headline, the federal government has confirmed that suspects have been arrested. So the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, he spoke to journalists after they had had a meeting with the president, an emergency security meeting. And what he says that the travel advisory by the US and the UK and other governments, he said he described these warnings which heightened a sense of insecurity in the nation's capital as false and unnecessary.
Thanks for staying with us. So Miriam was establishing a story.
Yes, so I was saying that the National Security Advisor, Major General Babagana Monguno, retired, who spoke with journalists after an emergency security meeting that they had with the president, and basically he said what they discussed was about some of the alerts and the heightened sense of insecurity since those travel advisory were reported. And he said that those travel advisory given by these countries, the US and the UK, it's false and was unnecessary, and also said that in the way it was done was irresponsible. He said that the country does a good job of also gathering intelligence, and they have partners, domestic as well as international, not just with the US, but other partners, and they share intelligence, like that. But the way and manner in which the US and UK had gone about it is irresponsible and has caused panic amongst Nigerians. But they are assuring Nigerians that they're on top of it, and we have no reason to fear. All Nigerian citizens and residents should go about their business without fear.
Okay. So the National Industrial Court has been told how the Budget Office, a parastatal under the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning, has unlawfully withheld the salaries and entitlements of their staff, Mrs. Bilkisu Okene Sanusi, for daring to expose corrupt practices in the establishment. So she alleged that in the course of her service in the organization, she noticed there was monumental corrupt practices perpetrated by some staff of the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning in the office of the Budget Office. And then she said, she claimed that she reported the matter to one of her superiors, and all of a sudden that one started treating her badly. And then along the line, she found out that that one was also complicit in what she was talking about. And so she moved to another department and reported the same matter. They now connived with each other and took her out of her salary. So her name was omitted from the salary. She wasn't paid for a while. And so she's demanding 50 million as damages for what had happened to her. The matter has been in court. They are hearing more evidence of the case so far, and it's been adjourned to a later date.
Okay, so the Nnamdi Kanu's lawyers have gotten his go-ahead to appeal the stay of execution order that the federal government got on the appeal court judgment that, that of course freed him. They had gone to court to say that the court should stay that execution because they think that deciding is an acquittal based on just the technicalities of how it was repatriated into the country is wrong. And then, you know, his lawyers have then decided to go on to the Supreme Court on this issue to settle that matter once and for all. I like that a lot of the war is fought legally, and that, you know, his people are being patient. I hope that by the time the Supreme Court finally gives an acquittal on his behalf, if they do, nobody should delay the execution for that. This is just unnecessary.
Yeah,
you know?
I agree with you. So let's move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Construction of 1.5 billion Lekki Port completed. Lekki Freeport Terminal takes over. Gunmen abduct 4 Ibadan-bound travelers in Ekiti. 2 killed in fresh attack in Plateau. Kidnappers' bullets left skin-deep wound on my head, says Agbaje, ex-UI DVC. U.S. security alert needless, no cause for alarm, NSA. Buhari leaves for medical checkup in UK. 1 year after Ikoyi building collapse, government yet to demolish 2 other towers. Miyetti Allah lists conditions for peace in troubled communities, demands gazetting of 415 grazing reserves. Passengers stranded, pay more as bus drivers begin 7-day protest over alleged extortion in Lagos. Atiku Group faults endorsement of Tinubu in Akure. Ebola, NCDC warns Nigerians against non-critical travel to Uganda. What stories do you have in the Tribune?
NCDC is asking Nigerians to avoid Uganda for now, and if they have to, except they have to travel to Uganda, they need to, you know, be careful and make sure not to mingle with people who are sick. And then for those who have just recently traveled, who have just recently come into Nigeria from Uganda, especially within 21 days, should also pay attention if they have any symptoms of headache, muscle pain, or any other pains, and that if you experience any of these symptoms, do not just drive yourself to the hospital so that you are not spreading through the transportation, spreading whatever, if you have the virus, spreading the virus. Instead, stay at home and then reach the line, which is 62. There's a health, yes, 6232. You should call that line or try and access any of the other Ministry of Health hotlines for assessment and testing. So it was gathered that the outbreak of the Ebola virus is called the Sudan strain and was declared in Uganda on September 20, 2022. And as of 29th of October, 128 cases have been confirmed and there have been 34 deaths.
Wow. Do you have a story in the Tribune?
So the president again has left the country, according to his spokesperson, Chief Femi Adesina. The president had just presided over the National Security Council meeting, and he traveled to Owerri to flag off the conference retreat for senior police officers, and then from there, to Europe. He will be back. He says second week of November. Today is the 1st of November, so we know that we do not have our president in the country again in 2 weeks. It's just sad that, you know, despite all our talk around, you know, putting together and beefing up and improving on our health sector here, our president did not send anybody for his 8 years, and again he has gone to see his doctors.
He has an option.